Hello, my name is Susan Ashley, and I wanted to talk to you today about alien abduction and how you can help yourself not to be abducted. And I know this is a very strange subject, but before I commence, I'd really love to ask you to subscribe to my videos on my YouTube channel so that you can have these videos as soon as they come up. Now, a few years ago, I was living in Luxembourg. I've had some aliens that have tried to take me and some that I have gone with that have been very positive, but I've also had negative experiences. And one of those was when I was in Luxembourg. It was probably around 1 o'clock in the morning. I was woken up, I was in bed, and this being was at the end of my bed, and he was very tall and he looked like metal. So he didn't actually look like any of the other beings that I'd seen before. He was like this really big metal construction, like a robot. And he had this thing across his eye, like this, like a hole there with one eye. It was very weird. And I was frozen. I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed. And I realized that my mind was beginning to be scrambled. And I know that when my mind starts to be scrambled, this is something that's not good, because often when they come and they're positive, they will calm you down, or if they want to do an upgrade on you, they will actually suspend your body in a sort of paralyzed state. But your mind's quite clear and you can communicate with them and they'll communicate with you. However, when they're negative, it seems that they don't actually want to communicate with you. They just want to control you. And the reason they scramble your mind is because you have to basically give your consent to such an experience. And if you can't speak and they tell you something and you don't reply, it's almost like they have permission to do what they want. So this being was standing there. He was like a big piece of metal, robot-y type thing. I have no idea where he was from. And he said to me, "I'm going to perform an operation on you. I'm going to do an experiment on you." And because my mind was scrambled, there was a part of me that knew that I had to say no. So I remember using all of my will, all of my forces to say no in my mind. And once I got the first no out, then the next two, because universal law states that if you say it 3 times, it needs to leave. So then I said no the second time, and that was even stronger. And by the time I got to the third no, which was quickly in succession of each other, I had the paralyzation was gone and he left. I felt it was a male. I can't tell you why, but I just did. And he left, and I was left there going, "Oh my God, did that really happen?" You know, when you have something like that, you really do question your sanity. So I realized then very strongly that they cannot go over your will. Now, I do know that there are people that have said to me, "But I said no and they still didn't go." It still happened to me. And the only reason that would still happen to you is because you have a contract with those beings. And at the moment, what I'm finding with a lot of people is those contracts have a time frame on them. And so you can actually release that contract. Now, I'm kind of not sure whether you can release it on your own. I suppose it depends on whether you can go into a deep state of meditation and psychically travel or spiritually travel to where those contracts are, or when you created that contract and announced that you're releasing it. Or if you can't do that, then my advice is to seek someone out. I can help you with that, but I'm sure that there are other people that can help you with that. Now, as I've said before, there is a difference between a soul contract and a mental contract. And there's a lot out there on the internet about mental contracts, and they're very easy to clear. But soul contracts is something completely different. And so that's why I'm saying it requires a certain level of experience and ability. And so it's, for some of you, you won't be able to do it yourself. And so you'll need to seek someone out. And that would be the reason that they would override your no. It's the only reason they would override your no. And you have to say no 3 times. It's the same with any negative spirit that enters your house. If you say, in the name of Jesus Christ the Nazarene, leave this house now, go 3 times, by universal law they need to leave. And this is something commonly known amongst the dark and the light, because I can tell you that on some level they actually work together. And I know that's really hard to fathom in your mind, because a lot of people who are, let's say, they call themselves light workers or what have you, would be very offended by what I just said. And they would say, well, how is that possible? How is that possible that the light would possibly work with the darkness? When you're in a 3D, 4D reality, they are actually working together to support your ability to choose. You see, on Earth, we have free will. And at a certain point, you have to choose what side of the fence you're going to sit on. And at the moment, this is very, very strong. And a lot of people think, well, I'm definitely on the positive, the light side of the fence. Well, if you're in it 100%, then you're not driven by money in the sense of greed. You're not driven by authority in the sense of being noticed. And social media is a very good example of that, where people will say and do anything that's not in alignment with who they really are or what's really going on in their lives, just to get that attention and just to feel like they have some power or notoriety. And this is where that gets a bit clouded. So some people think that they're working in integrity and they're completely in the light when they're not. And a lot of people also believe that, okay, if I don't believe that the darkness exists and I don't attune to that at all, then nothing bad's going to happen in my life. And that is unfortunately one of the biggest lies that are actually told in the New Age spiritual religious communities. It's absolutely not true. Whilst you're residing in 3 and 4D, you're going to experience duality. There's no doubt about it. And you cannot go out of it by thinking your way out of it. The way that you get out of it is also through your feelings, through releasing your karma, and also through your actions. So if you have a situation where you take advantage of someone, or you take something that doesn't belong to you, like someone's work, the work that they've spent many years developing, and you take that and you put your name on it, or you do something that's not ethical, or you choose, let's say, even a job that doesn't have integrity, where you're lying to people but you're justifying it because you have to earn a living. Even just those subtle ways keep you in the darkness. And so it's not so easy to go into 5D when you're justifying it with, but I need to live, I need to eat, I need to put food on the table, I need to, supply my children with an education and food, etc. So I know it's difficult to actually live within integrity 100% and get into that 5D reality, but actually that's what it's required. And 3D and 4D are there to kind of, the dark and light within that are there to give you the opportunity to choose, because this is a planet of free will, and you're choosing consistently and continually what side of the fence you wish to be in. And believe me, there is no grey area. So a lot of you think, okay, the shadow side, it's okay to be in the shadow side. Well, yes, it has been okay to be in the shadow side for centuries. for thousands of years. However, it's not okay anymore. And I know for some of you, it's been a really, really hard journey to stay in your integrity when you're witnessing people who have half the knowledge, half the information that you have, and they're making money and living opulently. I know it's difficult, but hang in there, because, look, my view on this is, how much money do you need? How many houses do you need? How many fancy cars do you need? How many sets of clothing do you need? Really, how much do you need? And if that actually makes you deliriously happy, that new outfit or whatever, question why it makes you happy. I think I'm going off. That's another subject. But what I'm wanting to say is that the darkness will still connect with you whilst you're in a time frame of challenge and choosing. Look, I've had people come to me that have been sort of leaders in a community around spiritual development, and they've been telling everyone about psychic protection and how protected they are and how clear they are. And then they'll ring me screaming, crying that they're being psychic attacked. But they actually don't want to tell their clients about psychic attack, because they want their clients to believe that if you don't think about it and if you don't acknowledge it, it doesn't happen, whilst they know it happens. So what they're doing is they're feeding the person's innocence, their vulnerability at what they're feeding them is what they think that person wants to believe. So, you know, someone comes and they've had a really hard time in their life. They've had some pretty horrible events. And so they're telling them, okay, well, if you do this, this, and this, and you don't think about it, and you don't do this, and you don't do that, you're going to be fine. Look at me, I'm fine. When they're actually not fine. And the truth is, not thinking about something and denying something doesn't make it go away. It actually makes it stronger. It makes the next experience that you have worse, because it has to hit you really hard in order for you to see the truth. Anyway, that's what I'd like to say today. I've probably gone off track a little bit, but I hope that's helped you, and I will continue on that subject actually. And please, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, please write in the comments and I will answer them. If you would like to know more about me, you can go to my website, lovelightandtruth.com, and you can always make an appointment with me. It doesn't matter where you live on the planet. For me, energy is energy. Time, distance has nothing to do with it. I can work with you if you're in Africa, in America, or Australia. It really doesn't matter. I really look forward to connecting with you and assisting you on your journey to the 5D reality. Bye for now.